We've just been looking at the National Library, an interesting looking glass-topped church right next door, and National Library, University Library. People like to go there among all the greenery, all the foliage up at the top for the views, and also to enjoy a drink or perhaps something to eat even. Straight across here, Science Museum. That is it. So they're building a new bridge across the Wisła, just north of here. It's the unmistakable National Football Stadium, which looks rather like a crown, doesn't it? Another view of the museum, and I'm just wondering if it's part of the Copernicus science experience down here by the Riverside. I think that may be the next building. This one I'm not 100% sure of. The museum's name isn't in English, but I see feminist world making and the moving image. Okay. And yeah, I'm not sure this is even functioning, to be honest with you. Despite the hours, all the lights are off inside. There are no coats hanging in the cloakroom, and I think it's all a bit out of date. Have I been duped? So easily duped. I think I have. So this is the Copernicus Museum, but it's definitely not the entrance. Okay. Wonder where these stairs go. Are you curious? I am. And welcome to Warsaw. Warsaw, again. That's what I'm hearing some of you saying. Warsaw again? There's never a bad time to visit Warsaw, that's what I say. Something to bear in mind, you can enjoy it spring, summer, autumn, winter. That's when it becomes a little trickier perhaps, unless you really like snow in the big city and getting huddled down in the museums, for example, where there'll be considerable less tourist traffic. So it swings and roundabouts, you know, this seasonal holidaying and visiting places. There are always pros and always cons. Now this morning, I'm down by the Riverside. I'm seeing works forging ahead to put another bridge across the River Wisła. Why another bridge is needed, I don't know. I've been walking up this sort of extended gantry along the north side of the Copernicus Museum scientific experience. It's really an Shall I try that again? It's really an interactive place, particularly focused on giving Polish speaking and reading children an introduction into the scientific world. You know, some older nerds might enjoy it as well if that's your thing, and why not if you do. However, if you don't read Polish, it can be challenging. If you're not a child or not interested in science, not interested in the planets, not interested in gravity, how things work up in space, as well as down here on Earth, then it might not be for you. There's never a free day at the museum, so it's not one of those places you can stick your nose into and just get a flavour of it and then decide, Actually, yeah, I think I'll pay for the extra exhibition halls, which aren't free, perhaps, as is often the situation in museums, even on a free day. But just looking through here, I don't think I should probably film, or is it a problem for me to film? I'll film from a distance and maybe you can just see without identifying anyone that there are lots and lots and lots of school children in there, or youngsters of school age, and maybe even younger. Parents taking them to try and introduce them in a fun and friendly way to something which might be constructive for their futures later on in life. For a tourist, they make a big thing of this place, but I think, frankly, you're probably going to enjoy being over at the university library that little bit more. On a Sunday for lunch, breakfast, nice drink, nice views from up there as well. Interesting looking building, of course, with all the greenery. However, I am going to go to the top here, if I'm allowed. I haven't paid an entrance fee because basically I came in through the exit of the walk up to the rooftop, and maybe this is all free anyway because I'm not actually going in to see any exhibitions. I'm just getting a viewpoint. Might be a bit nippy here in the depths of winter. Oh, isn't this interesting? And absolutely loads of midges. Of course, they're going to be by the river and they're going to be by the flower beds and sources of water, no doubt, that they've got up here. Might actually get a very nice view of the National Football Stadium because you can never quite get close enough. Possibly the best view is when you're crossing the bridge on a tram or a bus, if you're just in the right location, but you basically need to have the bus to yourself, I think, and to ask the driver to, can you just slow down, please? I need to get the perfect shot. I'm almost there. Oh, just slow down. Oh, no, go ahead. And yeah, it's not going to work, is it? You never get the perfect shot. What's all that about? Something to do with the Copernicus science extravaganza, I imagine. This is a nice day. And yet, just goes to show, I think, Warsaw has plenty of greenery. It used to be the grey city, but there's plenty of greenery and people are scattered all around, cycling by the river, taking trips, perhaps having a bit of a sleep in after a big night on Saturday. Maybe they're still struggling to get home after a big night on Saturday, even though it's late Sunday morning. I've had a word at the hostel just to recommend maybe they could consider putting some hand towels or paper towels or air drying, like Dyson hand drying units, or just something into the toilets on the corridor, because there are a few toilets apparently which do have some means by which a guest can dry their hands after they visited the toilet and needed to wash their hands. But unfortunately most don't, and really that's unforgivable, isn't it? And also mentioned about the sharpness of the closing doors. They really do make it a crashing sound at night when people check in late. People need to go out to the bathroom or wherever in the middle of the night and then come back in, and they're forgetful. Oh yeah, if I don't close it very carefully myself, just let the handle go, bang, crash, everybody wakes up again. Or the early risers who are out to do their thing or to check out early. Simple, all they need to do is change the tension on the little closing device at the top of the door. Get the handyman to do that on all the doors, and people can sleep better. Really straightforward things which hostels shouldn't mind being asked to do, shouldn't mind having it pointed out. But often the worst thing you can do in a hostel, especially those that say they welcome comments, please, if we can improve our establishment, let us know what you think needs improving. What else can we do for you? The last thing they actually want to hear is people doing just that. Sometimes, I think, because they get tired of ridiculous suggestions. Why isn't there an orange squeezer and trouser press in the dorm so that I can enjoy my breakfast in bed? In very sharply creased dress trousers, presumably. Anywho, I thought I'd just let you know how I've been bothersome and troublesome to the receptionist today. But I'm not really like that, because I know it just either falls on deaf ears very often. Management are just looking at the bottom line. But just to make the experience better for all the guests, because so many people don't want to say anything. Most are thinking exactly the same thing, but nobody wants to be that person who says something. Don't know why, if it improves things for the whole lot of us. Well, it looks as though this sort of bronzy coloured glass structure is the planetarium. So indeed, a part of the Copernicus experience. That may or may not be a separate ticket, I'm not sure. And it might suit you if you're interested in visiting a planetarium. But again, as most of the visitors are children, parents with children, it could be that you're hearing all kinds of noise in there, and the commentary is only in Polish, and you might feel you've wasted your time and money. Trying not to be Mr. Negative, but just Mr. Realistic. Plenty of places to praise, and this place is great if you've got kids, I think, who speak Polish. Fantastic for the local folk, not so much for people like me and thee. That must be a nice job, security. Just checking your emails and WhatsApp account all day long in a place like this. Until somebody does decide to go crazy with a pair of hedge clippers and attack the plants, perhaps. It may have happened once, or it may happen 125 years in the future. Everything's possible. And there's even a nice view back towards the prominent buildings at the heart of the city. Where next? Oh yes, I know. We need to see the Serena mermaid statue, don't we? We've seen one at the fountain in the old town. We really need to give the one down Riverside here a little look. So, heading downward. Somebody trying to give bats a bad reputation. Still got some boats on the riverside here. And there used to be, and I'm not sure if it still operates, something called a boatel. One of these floating hostels, a boat converted into a hostel-ish. for anybody who hasn't already had that experience. I know it's in Sweden as well, and Amsterdam. I think Stockholm in Sweden, they've got one, at least one. But I never tried it here in Warsaw. Never liked the idea of the boat rocking, you know what I mean? Not with my travel sickness history. Motion sickness, I should say. I remember when I was in Spain and Portugal, they had these orange trees everywhere. The problem with having these orange trees everywhere was that the oranges would fall to the ground and you'd just be stepping over them, and it seemed like a great waste. And once I picked one up off the floor, took it back to the hostel, peeled it, tried eating it, and it was the sourest orange I've ever had in my life. Obviously I didn't eat the whole thing, and then I realised, yeah, not all oranges are the same. Perhaps not all oranges are designed to be eaten, not by humans anyway. In case you're wondering where we are, we're at Pavilion 512, Science Centre Copernicus, that man Copernicus. If it's not Chopin, it's Copernicus. If it's not Copernicus, it's Pilsudski. But every city's like that, isn't it, with its heroes? Though I think, from memory, that Copernicus was actually from Torun. Could be wrong. Feel free to make a remark in the comments to put me right if I am wrong. Fairly common, straightforward looking birds. I think to get a twitcher really excited, I wouldn't imagine. But then you tell me, what gets a twitcher really excited these days? Ho ho! Hush my mouth. Maybe a white-tailed eagle would get a twitcher excited. I'm always happy to see a kingfisher, personally. Plenty of woodpeckers, but ironically, very few trees. Unless you're over there, of course. Maybe that's where Woody's hanging out. I think I found the location of where the Hotel Botel used to be, at least. Now I'm not at all convinced that it's here. Doesn't look like it, does it? So perhaps literally that boat has sailed and you no longer have that opportunity after all to sleep in a floating hostel. Oh well.